Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Pixel and welcome to the Sapphire Tech YouTube channel. You know, one of the genres that I feel like I may neglect the most on this channel has got to be racing games. Just the other day, I was actually talking to my girlfriend's father about them in particular because he was a big fan of the old touring car games on the PlayStation 2, and yet he hasn't really been able to play any more racing games because he doesn't have a computer which is powerful enough to do so. So I took that as a kind of challenge. I installed the SAPPHIRE Pulse RX 570 into my system and I tested it running 5 of the more recently released racing games at high yet optimized settings. What I found was actually rather surprising because it appears that most of the racing games that have been released in the last 18 months still have zero issues in running very well at 1080p using fairly high settings on the SAPPHIRE Pulse RX 570. So in this video what we're going to do is have a look at them 5 games that I tested using them optimized settings, which I will show at the beginning of each game section, and I will also leave timestamps for each of the games that we tested down in the description below. Now, I am a big fan of the cockpit view in racing games, so I have used mainly the cockpit view, but I will attempt to show a little bit of a third-person view for each game as well. Now, before we get started, I do want to make it clear that I did optimize each game's graphical settings so that we could maintain a 60 FPS minimum at all times throughout gameplay. However, full disclosure, we do unfortunately fall slightly below that 60 FPS target in a couple of games, however, not at all when actually racing. F1 2019 for instance does incredibly well during the actual gameplay, but for some reason does see some slowdown during the podium scenes and also while showing inside the team's garages, so please do bear that in mind. With that said, I want to let you all know that I'm not going to be talking throughout the duration of the video, but I will introduce each section as it comes along, so let's get right to it. The first game that we tested is F1 2019, and surprisingly, considering that I expected this to be the game that I liked the least since I'm not really a massive fan of racing and I thought that going around in laps would get incredibly boring incredibly quickly, this ended up being probably my favourite game out of the 5 tested. The graphical settings that we use will be on screen now, and hopefully you should be able to see that we were very close to holding the maximum settings while still having this stellar performance. In fact, all we turned down was the mirrors, the screen space reflections and the vehicle reflections, and we were still holding close to 120 FPS on average. The reality is you could turn these settings back on and still hold an average well above 60 FPS, it's just that these settings have a very small impact on the game's visuals while having a big impact on performance, so I think that aiming for that 120 FPS average on this game with the RX 570 is very viable, and I would recommend that you play this on a high refresh rate FreeSync display over playing on 60 FPS with the maximum settings, so that's the options that I've chosen.
Off the line, we're in a good position. Good job, nice overtake.
The next game that we checked out was Ubisoft's The Crew 2. Here we chose graphical settings that were for the most part between high and ultra, however 3 of the settings we did lower down a little bit further. These were the volumetric effects, the depth of field and the screen space reflections. I also want to point out that The Crew 2 is the only game on this list which is hard locked at 60 FPS, which means that you're really going to want to enable VSync. Normally I would suggest just using a variable refresh rate monitor, but unfortunately The Crew 2 has some big issues when it comes to frame pacing when VSync is disabled, so I do have to recommend that you do actually enable VSync and turn off any variable refresh rate technology. Unfortunately, things still get worse because in The Crew 2 there is no option to manually select a refresh rate, so you are going to have to change your desktop's refresh rate to 60Hz in order to be able to use a proper VSync implementation here. Thankfully, once you do these tweaks, the game is actually incredibly smooth, so you should have a fairly decent experience. It's just a shame that you have to jump through hoops in order to get it to work right in the first place. Moving on, let's have a quick look at Forza Horizon 4. Now, this game has got an awful lot in common with Ubisoft's The Crew 2, even right down to how the game is structured. Unfortunately, it appears to have also copied some of its problems, as Forza Horizon 4 also has a really bad frame pacing issue when the frame rate is not at 60 FPS, so this is another game where I recommend that you VSync at 60Hz. Fortunately though, there are more options available here which do make this a much easier task. Generally, when we were selecting graphical options for this game, we went somewhere between the high and the ultra quality presets. However, be warned that this can be a very finicky task, as there are an awful lot of graphical options in this menu that only really affect performance by as little as 1 or 2%. For that reason, I'm going to leave a link in the description to this video to a video by the guys over at Digital Foundry that covered this game in a lot more detail, so I definitely recommend you check that video out if you intend to play this for yourselves. Okay, so up next we have Dirt Rally 2.0. Once again, we went for a nice mixture of settings, somewhere between the high and the ultra quality preset, but this time around we also went for 4x MSAA to clean up those jagged edges. I'm also pleased to be able to say that Dirt Rally 2.0 seemed to have zero issues when it came to the frame pacing, which means that this is a perfect candidate for a FreeSync capable display, or just leaving your frame rate unlocked. That said, I did notice that this game had an extremely variable frame rate, which means that there's no way that I can guarantee that you won't come across an area somewhere in the game where your FPS will drop below 60. I mean, I think the lowest that we saw during our testing was around 62 or 63, but obviously we haven't tested the entire game, so I can't make any promises.
Get 5 behind.
Opens 30. 1 left tightens. 30. 4 left, don't cut. Into 3 right. Into caution, don't cut, 3 left. 50 over crest, 1 right tightens. Opens. Into turn, unseen. Don't cut, 1 left tightens. And 3 right. Into 2 left. Into 3 right. Opens into 1 left tightens. And turn 3 right. Into turn immediate 4 left of a crest. Opens long, don't cut, tightens 2. Into cut maybe 4 right. Into 2 left long. Opens 50. 5 right long. Into 4 left long. Into 3 right tightens. Into slow. 5 left. Into 1 right long. Tightens. Opens.
Last, but certainly not least, we have WRC8. Now, if we look at the options menu here, things may look a little bit confusing because we are in fact between high and ultra once again, even though you see quite a few mediums in the option settings. That's because a lot of the options here are just low or medium and don't actually have a high or a very high option. So you're just going to have to take my word for it. Now, one thing that you may notice is that we are once again capped to a 60 FPS limit, except this time it's not due to a hard limit or to bad frame pacing. It's a choice that I made to actually play the game using VSync, because what we found is that our frame rate was actually ranging between like 65 and 75, which can actually look really choppy on a 60Hz display. One thing that I did want to quickly point out is that while this game may not be visually impressive on a technical level, I did find it to be one of the prettiest games on this list when actually in motion, in real life. I doubt the video is actually going to do it that much justice, to be honest. So don't judge it too harshly based on the graphics in this video, because trust me, in motion, this game looks pretty gorgeous.
Right 6 into flat left, brake. Into right 3, over crest, and left 3 short. And right 4, keep in. And junction left 3, 120. Right 4, don't cut, open medium, 30. Right 4 short into left 3 short at junction, 80. Square left, widens over tarmac, don't cut, 70. Caution, keep right. Narrows after junction into left 2. Don't cut. 80. Right 2, short into left 1 medium. Into square right. Don't cut. 50. Chicane right, narrows and junction. 100 to keep left. Danger, hard brake for chicane right. 30. Right 3 and square right at junction into square left over finish. And right 6, tightens 5. Into left 5, open for finish. Square right, 50. Left 5, brake, keep right into square left over bump, narrows, 60. Acute hairpin left, and square right, narrows, 60. Hairpin right, into left 4, tightens into acute hairpin right. Into left 4, short, narrows, 60. Acute hairpin left, don't cut, into chicane right and right 3.
Alright, so in conclusion, I think that it's safe to say that the SAPPHIRE Pulse RX 570 is still a very capable graphics card, especially when it comes to racing games in 2019. Straight up, I was very impressed by the performance we were seeing, especially when compared to the visuals that these games were outputting. Not only that, but I think maybe the racing genre has picked up a new fan today, because I actually had a surprising amount of fun playing through all these games. I mean, don't get me wrong, The Crew 2 and Forza Horizon 4 may be still not my kind of thing, and I think this is mainly due to the car upgrade system, meaning that you can actually go into races and have an outright advantage or be simply underpowered. But the games that actually put you on an equal footing versus your competitors, they are the ones that I found really interesting, to the point where I would definitely consider doing a full career mode playthrough of one of these games in future. But anyway, with that said, that is once again going to be me done for today, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you are new around here, then please do consider slapping that subscribe button and dinging that bell so you get notified of our future uploads. If you like this video, then please do like this video, and if you disliked it, there's a button for that too. All we ask is that you let us know why in the comment section down below so we can try and improve it in future. If you've got any questions, suggestions or feedback, you can also leave that in the comment section and we will try and get back to you as soon as possible. But with that said, from myself and everybody here at the Sapphire Tech YouTube channel, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we will catch you later. Bye bye.